What's going on, everybody? It's That's Obsessed here, back from my hiatus for the better half of a decade. I just got busy, had to grow up, move out my parents' house, and do some grown man stuff. Shout out to the boys Shark, Revenant, and Wildside for helping me find the inspiration to get this back up and running. With all the Paragon children gearing up to be released to the public, I wanted to take this as an opportunity to speak a little bit about Overprime. At the time of recording, the game is going to be coming out tomorrow, and I'm actually super excited to get my hands back in the game. I only had a chance to play the final playtest, and while it was active, it was literally the only game I played. I loved it instantly. I'm really a big fan of the MOBA genre, though most of the popular MOBAs that are out have issues that ruin the game for me, or I simply don't like them stylistically. That's why Overprime was a huge breath of fresh air for me, as opposed to adding another hour to my 3,000 hours of Smite, or talking shit about League of Legends for the 300,000th time. I don't really have any hard numbers in front of me, so I'm mostly going to speak on feels and the overall game experience. We can get into numbers at a later time. The game feels mostly balanced, far from Monolith Paragon anyway. Maybe there's a few things to tweak here and there. I do think that there are some characters that are outliers in terms of their character power. Fang Mao being one of them. He stands head and shoulders above his counterparts. And there's also the original character Xena, who I think is better designed than some of the original Paragon characters. She's a little bit overtuned. But that's kind of the nature of MOBAs. New characters come out, they're busted for a bit, then they're normalized. That being said, she's a lot of fun to play. This gives me high hopes for subsequent release of original characters. If the design team keeps this same energy, I know we'll have a lot of fun additions to the roster. There was a plethora of items in the item shop that I didn't get a chance to try out, as about 90% of my playtime was on jungle, with the other 10% being mid or solo. There was no single item that I can think of that made me instantly go, you need to buy that. That being said, crit seems to be the standout as the best way to deal damage as a physical damage dealer. Nearly every jungler, solo laner, and ADC was rocking the full crit attack speed build. The only real exception I found was Xena, who could build damage, penetration, cooldown, and still be a menace. Though, I'm really the only person I ever saw do that, while most people were rocking the crit attack speed. Defense seems to be a bit on the weak side, as health seemed to be far stronger, but can't be certain until I get a chance to test more, play more roles, and try different builds. As far as the starter items go, I was originally a little bit worried about everybody having a blink attached to their starter item, but it proved to be far less annoying than I imagined. As a matter of fact, it wasn't annoying at all, especially with the 240-second cooldown. All in all, I would like to see a little bit more variety with the builds of the physical damage dealers, but maybe us players just haven't figured it out yet. So take it with a grain of salt, we'll keep moving forward, see what they come out with. I was also a fan of the map, even though I was a bit worried about the size and the teleporters before I began playing. I figured it would all turn out to be frustrating, but in practice, it flows very well, as the teleporters at the jungle objectives in the side lane actually fit the size of the map. I was worried that they would lead to a bunch of death balling, but since the map is so big, your team actually needs to be on point to make a coordinated attack at a single location. The map on the screen is easy to read and follow, and there's plenty to keep you busy in the jungle. The jungle bosses possess extremely high importance in this game, more so than any other MOBA I've played. This encourages fun team fights around them that were some of the most exciting make-or-break moments in the matches I played. The overall size of the map forces you and your team's decision-making to be on point, because if you make a mistake, then there's a lot of ground to cover to make up for that, especially in the end game. This all leads to the feeling that MOBAs are supposed to give players. You're in a war fighting a bunch of small skirmishes, small battles around the battlefield, and that all leads to the final climactic battle when you go to take the king's head, so to speak. Overprime hits that feeling right on the head. While I mostly like the game, there are some things that I want to see changed, fixed, or removed entirely. One thing, for starters, is the starter items. I would like there to be more decision making when it comes for which ones to build. I'm not looking for any of the current ones to be removed, but just more options. As of right now, the mage picks the mage starter item, the jungler picks the jungler starter item, so on and so forth. The only people who actually get to think about what starter item they're going to pick is the solo laners. It definitely doesn't ruin the game, but I think it'd be more fun for the players if we had more options. If there was 2 mage starter items, or 2 jungler starter items, or 2 ADC starter items, I think it'd be a lot more fun for all of us. Another thing that I would like to see change, travel mode. I like travel mode, and I don't want it removed from the game, but I don't like the fact that you get rooted every time you get struck out of it. I'd be fine if somebody just hit me and it turned it off, but it's frustrating to catch up to other people in travel mode, especially ADCs. Characters with ranged basic attacks have such a large advantage when you're trying to catch them, and it's pretty damn annoying. I'm also not a fan of the fact that mid can see dual lane from their own lane and vice versa. It makes trying to sneak the Guardian Spirit nearly impossible. Meanwhile, sneaking the Prime Guardian and the Prime Guardian underling is super easy, and that's arguably the more important objective. I also don't like how it makes jungle rotations a little bit awkward, even if you're a mid laner trying to rotate to duo, or if you're this jungler trying to rotate to duo. It makes it very weird because they can see halfway in the middle, so they know if you crossed over. It just doesn't really make sense, and I don't know why they have that so open on that side when the other side is so incredibly closed off. Now, the only thing that I think is a 911 fix that I really wanted them to fix while I was playing that final playtest is the fact that Gadget's bomb is invisible. So in the playtest, whenever she threw it, you couldn't see it until it finally attached to something. This made counterplay against her so frustrating, and I don't expect to see it in the full release, but if it is, I'm going to be bitching about it. Altogether, I'm excited to be back on a fresh game in a genre that almost never sees any new releases. I didn't like Paragon Monolith back before the servers were cut off, so I didn't really have high expectations for any of the Paragon clones, but the Overprime team just might have what it takes. I really hope they do, because I'd love to have another game to dump 3,000 hours in. Anyway, stay tuned for more Paragon content. That's Obsessed out.